UConn took down Iowa in Brooklyn. We'll recap. This is Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday and welcome back to another episode of Locked On UConn. I am Matt Shonvisky, a two-time graduate, 10-year credential media member, and host of the only daily UConn sports podcast, Locked On UConn, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. On today's show, we will recap UConn's win over number 11 Iowa in Brooklyn. Then, what did Geno have to say after the win? And finally, we'll kick off the first of our daily Fenway Bowl preview, starting with the Huskies offense. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. So Saturday saw the UConn women once again take care of business against a ranked opponent, beating Iowa by 26. Final score was 90-64. As part of the Champions Classic, 2 games as part of that tournament. The other game was Louisville and Tennessee. But listen, UConn absolutely put it to the Hawkeyes. Despite, first half, close game. Competitive game. Iowa, ranked 11 for a reason, had only one loss heading into the game. It was an 11-point game at the half. And then the Huskies stepped on their throat, and it was 21 after 3. It was a tale of two halves, especially for Azzi Fudd. We'll get to her and what Geno thought about her game post-game in the second segment of today's show. But Azzi did lead the way with 27 points. Sarah Strong also put in 23. Those two combined for 50 points on the night. And Sarah Strong, goodness gracious, filling up the stat sheet. 7 rebounds, 6 steals, 4 assists. Did it all. Blanca had 10 off the bench. Only took 5 shots, was 4 or 5 from the field. And UConn's defense was, it did the job. It held Iowa to 64 points. They did shoot almost 50% from the field. But UConn shot 52. And won the game going away. Huskies were out-rebounded on the day. 34-25. But it was just too much. Too much UConn. Too deep. And we're getting to the point where it's maybe time to start talking about, we did last week, but what a special season this could be. Again, we'll get to that in the second segment. But this game, another challenge for UConn from a ranked opponent standpoint. And they met the challenge with flying colors. Winning by 26. Allowing the Huskies to showcase themselves and showcase the game of college basketball in New York City. In Brooklyn. Geno talked post-game about, in years past, they used to have to pair their games in New York City with a men's game because it just wouldn't resonate. I think that speaks to the development of women's sports, women's basketball especially, and UConn is a huge part of why this sport is so successful these days and why this type of event up against the NFL, up against college football playoffs, up against the NBA, up against all these other sports that are happening in New York. They can showcase the women's game. Iowa, UConn, Louisville, Tennessee. So when we talked about legacy and Geno being here for 40 years with Bob Joyce. It goes above and beyond just his contributions to UConn. It's his contributions to the women's game in general, women's basketball, women's sports. Because if you don't have UConn there and what they've done, they've transcended what any successful program or sport or team has ever done across 40 years with Geno at the helm. It just allows for an event like this to take place. It allows for the game to be showcased on the grand stage in New York City. And this game's not going anywhere. These matchups are not going anywhere. This tournament is not going anywhere. The Champions Classic is here to stay. And a large part of that is to UConn and what Geno has done. But back to the game, 26-point win. Listen, the depth. Geno kind of cut down on his rotation against Iowa. We talked about the depth that they have. Only 7 players played more than 10 minutes. So you've really cut down on some of that rotation. Part of that was due to injury. But I think this is there was an opportunity for, and listen, Geno talked about this as well. And we talked about this with Bob Joyce. Maybe the Big East isn't as strong as it has been in years past. So these opportunities to treat a matchup like they had with Iowa, like a NCAA tournament game, I think you saw that on Saturday. Will you cut down the rotation? Let's figure out how things will work, especially under pressure situations. Because the experience they got on Saturday is going to prove very fruitful come March. Because you could play Iowa once again later in March or early April. When you get into the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, who knows? Because Iowa's no slouch, even though UConn took care of business by 26. So, great opportunity. UConn showed through despite a tough first half and some struggles by Azzi. We will talk about that on the other side of the break. What Geno's thoughts were. How she's built a certain way where her struggles were not going to allow her to continue to struggle throughout the entire game. And we'll talk about that on the other side. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Back in on this Monday edition of Locked On UConn, and we're still talking UConn, Iowa. And what did Geno have to say after the game? Listen, he talked for 25 minutes with the media postgame. And we talked a little about, hey, what has UConn meant to the game and how this type of event can happen because of UConn's success and what they've meant to women's basketball. I think he took this opportunity to really discuss a bit about the women's game, how far they've come, and not just about UConn, but about all the other teams in the Champions Classic, about the women's game, the game of basketball as a whole. So we talked about that postgame. But on Azzi, it was a tale of two halves. 1 of 10, 2 of 10 at the half from 3. What was Geno's reaction? In Geno style, he just asked her point blank, are you ever going to make a shot? And he says it in jest because he went on to say, we know she doesn't have to stop shooting. Because with Azzi, she will shoot a team completely out of it. To a point where she will put a game from a 12-point lead to a 25-point lead, and it's completely insurmountable, where a UConn opponent is never going to be able to make their way back in. And it's just a matter of time, whether it's at the beginning of the game, the middle of the game, or the end of the game, where that is going to happen. So anytime Azzi struggles, he never tells her, stop shooting, because he knows it's going to come. And she will put a game away. Unless she became unconscious in that second half. Ended up leading the team with 27 points. And it's the mindset of Azzi that Geno talked about as well that is so impressive. That she doesn't take plays off. She treats every possession like it's a 2-point game, a 10-point game, or a 20-point game. And that allows her to stay in the moment and take the same approach. And that spreads to every other player on this roster. And that's a leader. That's what a leader does. You can lead by example. You don't always have to be leading with words. You just go out there and do things the right way. And listen, Geno's still ticked from that fourth quarter against Marquette last week. He compared the players that played to driving, where you need a license to drive. You should be able to have a license to play the game of basketball. And he said, looking back to that Marquette game, in that fourth quarter, those players that were on the court should have had their basketball licenses revoked because they should not play the game of basketball that way. And Azzi is the complete opposite. She doesn't treat the game disrespectfully. She does not treat it like the game is over, even if it's a 30, 40-point game. She will always continue to put her best foot forward. And that is why she's got the mindset she does to be able to overcome tough shooting moments and then turn a 12-point game into a 25-point game. So that was Geno on Azzi. On Sarah Strong, who obviously had the other great performance on Saturday, put in 23 points. Listen, those 6 steals, I'm more impressed with that than the 23 that she put in. And Geno talked about she just has a knack for making plays. She always does things slowly. She's never in a rush. She's calm, always asking questions, and has the confidence to figure out ways to get better each and every single day. The confidence in herself to know she doesn't know it all. She can go to the coaching staff and say, hey, what can I learn? What can I pick up? How can I improve? And it just translates all across the board, not just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end as well. So the UConn women, it's hard to figure out a weakness with this team. They just have the depth. They've got the confidence. They got the right mindset. And listen, they're only 12-0. But we talked about this with Bob Joyce a couple weeks back. Geno was asked about it after the game against Iowa. I think others are picking up on what could potentially be possible with this roster and this team this season. And it is only after 12 games. But Geno was asked about, hey, the undefeated teams that he's had in his career, what made them so good? What allowed them to go out and win every single game that they played. And Geno joked about, hey, you got to have the players. You have to have a lot of good players. You have to have really, 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 really good players. But it's not just about that. It's about having a lot of really good players, but also having the right players to come together. Because you can have some great players that don't fit together with the unit that you have and aren't committed to the certain thing that you're trying to accomplish. Because if you don't have everybody committed to the one goal, it doesn't matter how good players you have. It's not going to work. And you see this in other areas, in other sports as well. The most talented teams don't always win. It's the best team that wins. And when you have the best team and the best players, that's what Geno's found. That's why it works. And that's what I think he has this year. So as UConn continues to build upon a 12-0 start, I think the potential for what this program can become and this team can become in 25-26 and what we're talking about in March and April will rival some of the other major undefeated teams that UConn has had in the past. To continue to live up to the UConn standard. And what is that standard? Geno, once again, was asked about this after the game. He said he knows what it is, but he said it's best to allow other people to talk about it. Because that's when you really know you're making an impact. But in the end, it's all about being under pressure to win here at UConn, being under pressure to play a certain way here at UConn, and living up to the expectations that you have as a program. And that's the UConn standard. So, as we once again look at what could be possible for this team this season, I think Saturday's win against Iowa and the performance of some of the players that they had and some of the shooting struggles that this team overcame is just another example of why this team can really perform as this season goes on. So with that, that will wrap things up on today's show for women's basketball. After the break, we will shift gears. The Huskies will be on the gridiron on Saturday against Army in the Fenway Bowl. And we will start to preview that game after the break. There's nothing like college football season. Tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I opened the Game Time app and look at upcoming college football games and was surprised to see how fast it was to find great seats for Saturday's Fenway Bowl matchup against Army. The app is incredibly easy to use. Went from browsing to buying tickets in just minutes. I love being able to view from my seat before buying, so I knew exactly what I was getting. The zone deals stood out. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more. Knowing prices include all fees up front makes the whole process stress-free. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Back in on Locked On UConn and turning attention to the Fenway Bowl on Saturday as UConn goes for the most wins at the FBS level in program history against Army, looking for 10 wins on the season. You would think, we're going to talk about more of this on tomorrow's show, But you would think there would be a lot of hype, a lot of energy from the program, from the coaches, and from the players leading into Saturday. But the opposite seems to be true. That there's a complete non-promotion around this UConn Army game on Saturday. And I think a lot of that speaks to maybe the coaches no longer going to be here going forward. Maybe some of the players that aren't going to be here going forward. But listen, the opportunity to win the most games in program history is something that we need to start talking about. Because that's legacy type stuff at UConn. Skylar Bell has already built a legacy here at UConn. All-American. We talked about this last week. He stepped up and was a leader at the mic last week. So we're talking about offensive preparation and previewing and summarizing the UConn offense from this season. Led by Coach Samus, who has yet to speak to the Connecticut media since taking over interim head coach status. We've heard more from Samus down at TCU in Fort Worth than we have in his role as interim head coach here at UConn. I think that speaks to certain situations that were going on behind the scenes at the university. But despite all that, listen, Coach Samus did an incredible job here at the university. But what is the offense going to look like on Saturday? We don't know. Because number one, we don't know who's playing quarterback. Could it be Nick Evers? Could it be Farrar? We don't know. We know it won't be Joe Fagnano. Because by all reports, he's not even on campus right now. He's prepping for NFL. And listen, he had a spectacular year and he has a great future in front of him. He doesn't need to prove anything in the bowl game. I get it. But we'll see what his absence does for this UConn offense. Because by all accounts, Skylar Bell will be there. He said so himself. Cam Edwards is expected to be there. And the rest of this offensive roster could potentially be there. But as we saw a year ago, it depends on the quarterback play that you have on how this offense is going to perform. So you can throw out all the NCAA statistics out the window in terms of how UConn performed during the 2025 season. Yes, their offense was great. Yes, they scored a lot of points. But if you don't have your quarterback, what do you have? We don't know. UConn finished 460 yards per game, 15th nationally in total offense. UConn finished with 6.7, 6.8 yards per play. 12th nationally. The UConn offense. This is what we're talking about. Passing wise. Again, they excelled. Where'd they finish? Joe Fagnano and the UConn passing offense, 6th nationally. 301 yards per game. They were good for 7th nationally in touchdown passes. So Coach Samus in this offense, as we all know, they had a spectacular year. But it wasn't just throwing the ball. Cam Edwards, we know, had a spectacular year. And by all accounts, he is going to be playing in the game on Saturday. And the strength and why UConn had so much success? Offensive line. And they're going to have to play very well against a tough defense in Army, tough defensive front in Army on Saturday. So with a lot of uncertainty, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. Nick Evers got in for a couple of drives earlier this season in blowouts. Farrar got in for 1 or 2 drives against FIU, I think it was. Listen, he looked electric with the ball in his hands. In that one rush he had, I think it went for 21. I'm interested to see him get on the field. I'm interested to see if Nick Evers can get on the field and see if he continued to progress as the season went on. We don't know if these players will be here next year going forward. But I think, listen, 10 wins is an opportunity to do something that's never been done at this school before. So if they get it done, it will live in the record books here in Stores. We may find out some more. Media day, I believe, is Friday, leading into the game on Saturday up in Boston. I think Samus is required to speak to the media then. We may find out more at that time. But listen, they had a press conference scheduled for late last week. He was supposed to speak to the media. Didn't happen. He didn't show up. Skylar Bell did. I think a few other players did as well. So as they continue their prep for the bowl game on Saturday, we will continue to have additional coverage leading into that matchup. So with that, thank you for tuning in today's episode of Locked On UConn. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And for a second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today, hosted by Peter Bukowski, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. As always, go Huskies!